We're here inside the house at Hampton Plantation, and I'm joined by Interpretive Ranger Morgan Baird. And Morgan, when a visitor comes to Hampton Plantation, the tour they get of the house is a little bit different than what we sometimes think of house tours of the plantations here in the South.
You're correct in that, Susan. It is a little different here. A lot of people come here and they realize we don't have furniture, and they ask what happened to the furniture. When we bought the house in 1971, we did not get the furniture here. So we focus a little bit more on the architectural details, how the house was actually constructed, and more on the family as well as enslaved labor here at Hampton.
Now, you mentioned how the house was constructed, and I know right behind us there's a display. And throughout this home, you can actually see some of the open walls and the beams and stuff as to how the house was constructed. What kind of things are people going to see when they come?
Well, one thing, like in this room in here, you will see a lot of the cypress timbers on how the house was actually built. You'll see, and of course, we do have the heart pine floors throughout the whole structure. But you will see, like back here, we do have a window, an old window that was covered up when they did some remodeling here. So it's a little different, but I think it does fill that niche so people can actually see how houses back in the 18th century were constructed, because not a lot of people, you go to all these houses and they just see the walls, but this does show you here how it was actually constructed.
Yeah, actually what went on to build the homes that everybody lived in. Now, one of the things you mentioned was the architecture of the building, and this home is actually the Georgian style.
You're correct in that. Georgian is, it was really big down here. One thing about Georgian that always kind of helps set it off is that you do see it is symmetrical. If you take a picture of it and fold it in half, everything would essentially add up to each other, would have a partner. Our portico out there, though, is an Adamesque portico, so it's a little bit different. It was a later addition in the 1790s.
Yeah, it really is a great chance to see how these homes were constructed. And one of the things that you notice when you visit the house is that, of course, all of the rooms have a fireplace, as all homes did back then. But one of the fireplaces in particular that you'll see is a really unique fireplace.
It is. We've what the State Park Service did in the 1970s is they did a cross-section cutaway of one of the fireplaces in the blue parlor. And it kind of shows you how the fireplaces evolved and changed over time from what you see to today, a normal fireplace. It lets you know that the people are tired of sitting around in these cold houses.
Yeah.
These rooms still are cold, especially in the wintertime, and that's when the family would have been living here. So it does show you the sweeping reform movements that were going on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah, it really is a great chance to see how these homes were constructed and get a better sense of how the people lived then. And you mentioned the families here. There is a rich history of the South Carolina families here at Hampton Plantation, isn't there?
Oh yes, most definitely. I mean, two of the main families that live here, Orrery and Rutledge, are names that pop up in South Carolina history every day. One thing that's really neat is the house was not sold outside the family until 1971. So it stayed in the family roughly for over 220 years until Archibald Rutledge sold it to us in 1971. So that was one thing. We still have a deep connection with the family that used to own the plantation here, as well as a lot of the descendants of the enslaved people who used to work here. So that's one thing that is really nice about Hampton. We do have that personal connection with a lot of the people in the area.
Yeah, it really is a great plantation home to come and visit and really get a sense of what these homes were like and how they were built in the early days in South Carolina.